Dr. Stephen Greer, a retired physician and widely respected figure in the field of UFO research, has spent decades bringing forward testimonies and evidence about the reality of unidentified aerial phenomena. Known for founding the Disclosure Project and for his tireless efforts to encourage governments to release information about unexplained craft, Dr. Greer has more recently stepped into a new role as a podcaster. His platform allows him to reach audiences more directly, and in his recent discussions, he has been sharing insights that are both bold and unsettling. In one of his most recent podcast discussions, Dr. Greer shared a claim that he admitted might cause some listeners to lose sleep. According to him, in the past 2 years, he has received testimony from 3 separate individuals who worked in communication centers at classified bases. These individuals told him that intercepted transmissions have been picked up between human military establishments and what they described as non-human intelligence, often referred to as NHI. Disturbingly, these communications reportedly contained messages of frustration.
This will disturb you. You may not sleep tonight. And I've known this for some time. But in the last 2 years, I've had 3 separate people who have been in communication centers at classified bases that have told me there has been intercepted communications from NHI, that they're just about fed up with that nonsense of us targeting them, damaging them, captivating their people, and doing this in a kinetic, meaning violent. Kinetic is another euphemism in the military. Just kinetic is just, casualties and destruction, violence, manner. And then that the problem is, because we have these advanced technologies that are psionic and technological, our craft, the ones that we have that are man-made, have pretty much reached almost an indistinguishable level with the NHI craft or ET craft. But by using this technology in an aggressive military and corporate way to simply get more and more of their stuff, their goodies, their technology, which is what all the billionaires want, right? Because they only think one way. How do I become a trillionaire if I'm a billionaire? That's all they care about, right? These civilizations out in space are absolutely fed up with that. And let me be clear about this. This is a warning and it is a threat.
Dr. Greer explained that these civilizations are becoming increasingly disillusioned with the human tendency to target and damage their craft in kinetic ways, essentially using advanced weaponry against them. The retired physician made clear that these messages suggest something more than just technological clashes. He said that the civilizations who have been in contact with humanity are concerned by the misuse of technology. He claimed that the craft which humans now attempt to utilize, often stored and operated by military-industrial complexes, are being deployed in inappropriate and harmful ways. This misuse has not gone unnoticed, and Dr. Greer believes that humanity is reaching a tipping point where our interactions with non-human intelligence could have severe consequences if changes are not made. This perspective resonates with a wider concern that humanity may be edging dangerously close to self-destruction. Delving into subjects such as UFOs, extraterrestrial life, and the existence of non-human intelligence brings with it the alarming possibility that time may be slipping away, and that our species stands on the verge of self-ruin. The presence of advanced civilizations is no longer framed by researchers like Greer as hypothetical, but as an urgent reality, one that demands reflection on how we interact with these intelligences. Further reinforcing this atmosphere of unease, former CIA operative John Ramirez has made statements that echo some of Dr. Greer's warnings. Ramirez suggested that the government is preparing for a significant event expected to unfold in the year 2027. He has said that preparations are already underway to respond to whatever revelation this event may bring. His claims also include the notion that there is an active presence on Earth which he characterizes as demonic, influencing human belief systems to create confusion and skepticism. According to Ramirez, this manipulation serves to cloud human judgment and destabilize confidence in long-held convictions. Such statements point to a complex interplay between unknown intelligences and human perception. If accurate, this suggests that the influence of non-human intelligence goes beyond the technological domain and extends into the psychological and spiritual fabric of human societies. It challenges conventional understandings of reality and opens the door to the possibility of a broader cosmic influence operating just beyond the edge of human awareness. Adding to these concerns are the investigations of Dr. Gary Nolan, a professor and researcher who was commissioned by the US Defense Department to study cases where military pilots and personnel suffered brain injuries after encounters with unidentified flying objects. Dr. Nolan has spoken about his research, but has stopped short of revealing the full extent of the consequences. While he has not publicly confirmed whether these injuries resulted in loss of life, insiders have suggested that numerous servicemen have been fatally affected during such encounters. The reports describe situations where unidentified objects landed on or near military installations, leading to servicemen approaching and subsequently sustaining traumatic brain injuries. In some cases, insiders allege that these encounters had outcomes far more serious than injury alone. What troubles many researchers is not only the nature of these incidents, but the lack of widespread media attention. Dr. Greer and others have raised the question of why such critical events, with profound implications for national security and human survival, are not being reported prominently by leading outlets such as the New York Times. These hidden aspects of UFO encounters highlight the deeply mysterious and potentially hazardous side of the phenomenon. While much of popular culture portrays unidentified flying objects in terms of curiosity or spectacle, the reality described by insiders is far darker. The encounters leave physical traces, not only in the environment, but on the bodies of those who come too close. The fact that these consequences remain largely hidden from public discussion only amplifies the sense of disquiet. For Dr. Greer, these revelations tie into a larger warning about the trajectory of humanity. If civilizations beyond Earth are indeed aware of us and actively engaging with our species, then the way we respond to them may determine the course of our future. Misusing advanced technologies, attempting to weaponize recovered craft, or approaching these intelligences with hostility may not only damage diplomatic possibilities, but also place humanity in jeopardy. The communications allegedly intercepted suggest that patience on the part of non-human intelligences may be running thin, and that their tolerance for human aggression is waning. At the same time, the notion that elements within government may already be getting ready for a large-scale event adds urgency to the conversation. If the year 2027 does indeed mark a pivotal moment, then humanity may soon face revelations that will transform every aspect of life, from science and religion to politics and philosophy. The suggestion that unseen forces are influencing human belief systems only deepens the sense of unease, for it raises the possibility that our very perceptions of truth and reality are being shaped by intelligences beyond our control. The ongoing investigations into pilot injuries, combined with reports of direct encounters with craft, provide a sobering reminder that the UFO phenomenon is not simply about lights in the sky. It carries real-world consequences that affect human lives and raises profound questions about the risks of engaging with forces we do not yet fully understand. These reports, though disturbing, point to the need for open dialogue, greater transparency, and scientific exploration. Dr. Stephen Greer's podcast has become a platform where these urgent conversations can take place, free from the filters of mainstream institutions. His willingness to share testimonies and claims that others might dismiss is part of what has made him such a respected and controversial figure in equal measure. For those who believe in the authenticity of these accounts, his message is clear. Humanity is standing at the edge of a profound transformation, one that will demand humility, wisdom, and a willingness to rethink long-held assumptions. As the years pass and more evidence emerges, it may become increasingly difficult to ignore the implications of what researchers like Greer, Ramirez, and Nolan are saying. Whether or not the event predicted for 2027 unfolds as described, the questions raised are too significant to dismiss. Humanity must confront the possibility that we are not only being observed, but are already engaged in a fragile relationship with civilizations far beyond our own. Mysterious UFO crash covered up in Brazil. In 2020, as the world faced one of its most turbulent years in recent history, an extraordinary series of events unfolded in Brazil. These events would come to captivate the attention of residents, inspire countless theories, and eventually stir global curiosity online. It all began with mysterious lights reported in the skies over Brazil. Witnesses described pulsating orbs of light moving with erratic precision, some darting across the night sky, while others hovered motionless before vanishing in an instant. At first, the sightings were met with fascination and awe, and soon videos began to surface on social media. What seemed at first like scattered reports quickly snowballed into a trending topic, with multiple angles and accounts feeding into a growing sense of mystery. But what began as strange lights in the sky soon took a much more dramatic turn. Residents from the region reported that one of the luminous objects appeared to falter. Witnesses described how it seemed to lose control, descending rapidly before crashing into a wooded area. In the moments following the crash, onlookers said the sky lit up again, with additional orbs appearing as though to oversee or perhaps respond to the fallen craft. The sudden escalation turned a fascinating light show into what many regarded as one of the most significant UFO incidents in recent memory. Among the most striking pieces of evidence to emerge from this event was a brief but unforgettable video clip. The footage, lasting only about 15 seconds, was recorded by a resident who ventured into the area after hearing reports of a crash. The video shows what appears to be a small clearing in the woods, and at its center sits a metallic, spherical craft. Its surface gleams in the dim light, with reflections suggesting a highly polished or otherworldly material. Eyewitnesses noted that it seemed to emit a faint mist or steam, while a blue glow pulsed from within, illuminating the strange object in the darkness. A still photograph from this footage made its way online, and for many, it provided tangible evidence of what people had been reporting. The object appeared spherical, almost like a perfectly engineered orb, yet its surface shimmered in ways that did not align with any known earthly craft. The photograph quickly spread across platforms, igniting speculation, debate, and wonder. As soon as the photograph and video began circulating, however, strange things started to happen. Social media users who shared the content reported that their posts were removed, hashtags relating to the incident were disabled, and in some cases, accounts that uploaded the images were suspended. This swift and coordinated removal of content fueled suspicions that a cover-up was underway. For UFO researchers, the erasure of evidence was not new, but the speed and efficiency with which it occurred in Brazil raised alarm bells. Many suggested that this was an intentional effort to suppress the story before it gained too much traction in the mainstream media. The mainstream outlets themselves were unusually silent. Despite the fact that multiple witnesses, numerous videos, and a growing public fascination surrounded the event, few, if any, major media platforms carried the story. For many, this silence confirmed what they already suspected, that the event was being actively concealed from the wider public. Some skeptics argued that the craft may not have been extraterrestrial in nature, but rather an advanced piece of military equipment. Brazil, like many nations, has secret projects and experimental technologies, and it was suggested that what people saw was simply an accident involving classified hardware. This explanation, however, did little to satisfy those who had seen the object firsthand or studied the circulating video and photograph. The polished metallic surface, the radiant blue glow, and the strange mist all seemed far too advanced and unusual to match known human designs. The mystery deepened further when amateur researchers and curious locals visited the alleged crash site. Some of those who ventured to the area reported strange readings. They claimed that instruments designed to measure background radiation displayed unusually high levels near the clearing where the object was found. This anomaly baffled them, as the area had no prior record of radiation exposure. For UFO researchers, this was a hallmark signature of UFO encounters. Many historical cases of UFO landings or crashes have been associated with spikes in radiation, as though the crafts themselves emit or interact with energy fields that leave traces behind. The photograph itself became a symbol of the event. To those who believe in its authenticity, it represents a rare glimpse into something extraordinary, physical proof of contact with non-human intelligence. The way the orb seemed to glow from within suggested technology beyond human understanding, a design so advanced that it inspired both awe and fear. Even the brief 15-second video reinforced this impression, showing a craft that looked alive with energy, as though it were more than just a machine. What makes the Brazil UFO case particularly compelling is how it resonates with countless other accounts worldwide. For decades, witnesses have described UFOs as spheres or orbs of light, often metallic in appearance and capable of performing maneuvers far beyond human aircraft. The consistency of these descriptions across different cultures and times adds weight to the idea that the Brazil incident was not an isolated case, but part of a much larger phenomenon. The alleged cover-up, meanwhile, only adds to the intrigue. By suppressing evidence, removing online content, and keeping mainstream attention away, the incident mirrors other cases where compelling UFO encounters never reached widespread recognition. For investigators, this raises troubling questions about how many such events may have already been erased from public awareness. If the Brazil crash was indeed genuine, then the world may have missed an opportunity to study and learn from what could be one of the most important discoveries in human history. At the heart of this story lies a profound question. Why are such events hidden? Some suggest it is to prevent panic, arguing that humanity may not yet be ready to confront the reality of non-human intelligence. Others believe it is about power and control, with advanced technologies being withheld for military advantage. Whatever the reason, the suppression of evidence only seems to strengthen public suspicion and push more people toward independent research. The Brazil UFO crash of 2020 remains one of the most fascinating and unsettling stories of the modern era. The lights in the sky, the alleged crash, the recovered footage of the glowing sphere, and the subsequent silence all combine into a narrative that continues to haunt those who followed it. Whether the craft was truly extraterrestrial or some unknown technology, the photograph that emerged captures a moment of mystery that refuses to fade. In the years since, the story has become a touchstone for UFO researchers. It represents both the promise of discovery and the frustration of suppression. For believers, it is evidence that humanity is on the cusp of a paradigm shift, one where contact with non-human intelligence is no longer deniable. Ultimately, the Brazil incident stands as a reminder of how much we still do not know about the universe and the forces that share it with us. A metallic orb glowing in a forest clearing may one day be understood as something entirely mundane, or it may be remembered as the moment humanity caught its clearest glimpse of a truth long hidden. Until that day arrives, the photograph remains an icon of mystery, a silent witness to an event that many believe was too extraordinary to be left for the public to freely examine. A startling whistleblower revelation has emerged, disclosing the Pentagon's clandestine UFO data recovery initiative, Immaculate Constellation, operational since 2017. This initiative was previously beyond congressional oversight, and with the revelation of the whistleblower report, its secrecy has now been disclosed. The whistleblower asserts that the primary objective of the Immaculate Constellation program is to identify and extract the most compelling UFO pictures, films, eyewitness accounts, and electronic sensor data held by the military. The high-quality multi-sensor UFO data are so rigorously regulated that mentioning them may pose a personal risk. The initiative came about as a top-secret operation following the 2017 leak of 3 infrared UFO films from the US Navy. Recently, a photograph of a ball-shaped UFO adorned with small spikes surfaced on a popular Chinese website. This image, quickly hailed as one of the clearest and most intriguing UFO captures to date, has generated significant interest and debate online. Unlike the grainy or poorly defined UFO images that often dominate discussions, this particular image stands out for its clarity, detail, and the unusual design of the object itself. For many, it represents a breakthrough in the ongoing search for visual evidence of unidentified flying objects. The image in question first appeared on a Chinese website, quickly spreading to other platforms and gaining international attention. In the photo, a spherical object with small, evenly spaced spikes can be seen hovering in the sky. The UFO appears to be metallic or reflective, with the sunlight glinting off its surface, giving it a shiny, almost polished appearance. The small spikes protruding from its surface add to the mystery, as they do not resemble any known human-made aircraft or technology. The object itself is seen at a relatively low altitude, providing an unusually detailed view of its structure, unlike many distant or blurry UFO sightings. The clarity of the image is what has made it stand out from the typical UFO pictures that circulate online. Many UFO images are vague or taken from great distances, leaving room for misinterpretation or the possibility that the objects are natural phenomena, such as birds, balloons, or drones. However, the detail in this photo, particularly the distinct spiked design, has led many to argue that it is one of the most compelling pieces of evidence in favor of the existence of unidentified aerial phenomena. The public reaction to the image has been swift and widespread. Social media platforms in China, as well as Twitter and Reddit internationally, have seen countless discussions and theories about the origins and nature of the object. Believers in UFOs have been quick to embrace the image as one of the most convincing visual pieces of evidence to date, with many suggesting that the design of the object is too unique and advanced to be of human origin. The clarity of the ball-shaped UFO image represents a significant moment in the world of UFO research and investigation. For years, one of the primary criticisms levied against UFO sightings has been the lack of high-quality visual evidence. Blurry or ambiguous images have been dismissed as inconclusive, and the lack of clear, detailed photographs has made it difficult for UFO enthusiasts to convince the broader public or scientific community of the legitimacy of their claims. This new image, however, challenges that narrative. With its sharp details and distinct features, the photo offers a much stronger foundation for serious analysis and investigation. The clear depiction of the object has piqued the interest of UFO researchers around the world, many of whom are calling for further examination of the photograph to rule out possible explanations or to corroborate its authenticity. If the image holds up under scrutiny, it could represent a turning point in the conversation about UFOs, pushing the phenomenon further into the realm of legitimate scientific inquiry. For decades, military personnel who claim to have encountered UFOs often faced skepticism, ridicule, or outright dismissal. Reports of strange, fast-moving objects seen on radar or witnessed by pilots during training exercises were frequently written off as atmospheric anomalies, equipment malfunctions, or optical illusions. However, in recent years, more and more military personnel have chosen to come forward, sharing detailed accounts of encounters with unknown flying objects that defy conventional explanation. One of the most notable whistleblowers is former US Navy pilot commander David Fravor, who publicly discussed a 2004 encounter with a UFO off the coast of San Diego. During a routine training exercise, Fravor and his squadron were dispatched to investigate radar anomalies picked up by the USS Princeton. Upon arrival at the scene, Fravor and his fellow pilots observed a white, tic-tac-shaped object moving erratically at incredible speeds. The object had no visible wings, propulsion system, or markings, yet it outmaneuvered their jets with ease. Fravor's account, which was later corroborated by radar data and additional witnesses, was one of the first instances where a military UFO encounter was publicly acknowledged by the US government. Fravor's testimony, along with those of other whistleblowers, has laid the groundwork for a broader conversation about UFOs within the military and intelligence communities. These individuals are no longer treated as fringe figures or conspiracy theorists. Instead, their experiences are being taken seriously as part of an emerging body of evidence that UFOs represent a real and potentially significant phenomenon. For much of the 20th century, the US government's official stance on UFOs was one of denial or downplaying. Since then, the Department of Defense has established a formal UAP task force to investigate and analyze UFO sightings reported by military personnel. In 2020, the Pentagon officially declassified several videos of UFO encounters, acknowledging that the objects captured on film remain unidentified. This newfound transparency and seriousness in addressing UFO sightings marks a significant departure from the government's historical approach to the subject. The government is no longer dismissing UFOs as a fringe topic, but instead recognizing them as a phenomenon that could have important implications for national security and aviation safety. There are several reasons why the US government has begun to take UFO whistleblowers more seriously. First and foremost is the growing body of credible evidence from military sources. Pilots, radar operators, and intelligence personnel have provided detailed accounts of encounters with objects that exhibit capabilities far beyond anything currently known to exist. These objects are often described as having extraordinary speed, maneuverability, and the ability to perform aerial feats that defy the laws of physics as we understand them. Additionally, UFO encounters have occurred near sensitive military installations, including nuclear facilities, which raises concerns about potential espionage or surveillance by foreign adversaries. While there is no evidence to suggest that UFOs are the work of another nation, the possibility that advanced technology could be used to spy on the US has prompted military officials to treat these sightings with greater urgency. Another key factor is the safety risk that UAPs pose to military pilots. In numerous instances, UFOs have been reported in close proximity to military aircraft, sometimes resulting in near misses. Given the potential danger to flight operations, the government has recognized the need to investigate these phenomena to ensure the safety of both military and civilian aviation. Finally, the cultural stigma surrounding UFOs has begun to fade. For decades, those who reported UFO sightings risked being labeled as delusional or untrustworthy. However, as more military personnel and credible witnesses come forward, this stigma is being replaced by a more open and scientific approach to the subject.